When people hear the word charisma, they usually think of someone loud, charming, or always the center of attention. But for Sigma males, charisma looks completely different. It's quiet. It's calm. It's the kind of presence that doesn't ask for attention, but still commands respect. Sigma males don't try to impress anyone. They don't chase the spotlight. They don't change who they are to fit in. And that's exactly what makes their charisma so powerful. It's not forced. It's natural. It comes from being grounded in who they are. They don't need a crowd to feel confident. They don't need praise to know their worth. And they definitely don't try to follow what's popular just to be accepted. Sigma males move on their own path, and people notice, even if they don't understand why. The truth is, Sigma male charisma often goes unspoken. People feel it, but they can't explain it. It's in the way he holds eye contact without trying to dominate. It's in the way he speaks less, but always with purpose. It's in how he can walk into a room and stay on the outside, yet somehow still shift the energy. This video breaks down the hidden signs of that charisma. Not the kind that needs a microphone, the kind that moves in silence. These traits don't show up in every conversation, and they're not always obvious. But once you know what to look for, you'll see them everywhere in a true Sigma male. Whether you're a Sigma male yourself, or someone trying to understand what makes them so magnetic without being loud, this is where you'll find your answers. Let's start with the first and most obvious sign, the quiet confidence that lives at the center of it all. Sign number 1, quiet confidence. Confidence doesn't always shout. Sometimes it walks in quietly, takes a seat and says nothing, but everyone still notices. That's the kind of confidence Sigma males carry. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's steady, controlled, and built from real experience. Sigma males don't walk into a room trying to prove anything. They don't need approval. They don't crave applause. Their confidence doesn't come from how others see them. It comes from how they see themselves. They know what they're good at. They know what they stand for. And they don't try to fit into anyone else's mold. That self-trust shows up in everything they do, how they move, how they speak, how they make decisions. They don't rush. They don't panic. When they talk, people listen, not because they demand attention, but because their energy is grounded. They don't fill the room with noise, but their silence says a lot. This quiet confidence makes people curious. Why is he so calm? Why isn't he trying harder to be liked? And that mystery creates attraction. People are used to loud confidence, but quiet confidence? That's rare, and it stands out. It shows in how Sigma males carry themselves. Their posture is strong, but not forced. Their voice is clear, but never loud. They don't overreact. They don't need to win every argument. In fact, they often don't argue at all. They say what they mean, and then let it go. This calm energy creates trust. People feel safe around Sigma males, even if they don't know them well. There's no pressure, no judgment, no need to perform, just presence. And it's not just in conversation. It's in how they handle stress. When things fall apart, Sigma males stay level-headed. They think. They adapt. They move forward without panic. That ability to stay calm when others are falling apart, that's real charisma. Quiet confidence also means they don't compete with others. They're not trying to be better than the next guy. They're just focused on their own lane. That focus gives them peace, and peace is powerful. In dating, this is especially strong. While other men try to impress with status, money, or charm, Sigma males simply show up as they are. They don't chase. They don't try too hard. And that self-respect is magnetic. Even in groups, their quiet confidence creates gravity. They don't interrupt. They don't dominate. But somehow, people still notice them, and often look to them when things get serious. All of this comes from one simple thing, knowing who they are. Sigma males don't fake anything. They've spent time figuring themselves out. And that internal clarity shows. So, if you've ever wondered why people seem drawn to you, even when you don't say much, this is why. That quiet confidence is speaking, even when you're silent. Sign number 2, deep introspection. Most people move through life without stopping to ask why they do what they do. But Sigma males are different. They think. They reflect. They observe not just the world around them, but also their own thoughts and behavior. This habit of deep introspection gives them a kind of self-awareness that most people never develop. They don't just act. They ask themselves why. Why am I drawn to this goal? Why did I react that way? Why do I feel disconnected right now? These questions help them understand themselves at a deep level, and that kind of understanding creates a strong, steady presence that others feel. They're not trying to be perfect. They're just trying to stay real. And that effort to stay aligned with who they really are, not who they're supposed to be, gives them a rare authenticity. You can feel it in the way they speak, the way they listen, and the way they move through life. Because they know themselves, they don't fall into identity traps. They don't follow trends. They don't try to copy what's popular. They filter every decision through their own values, not outside pressure. This kind of introspection also gives them emotional balance. They can feel something, anger, sadness, excitement, without being controlled by it. They step back. They watch it. They process it. And that control over emotion shows in how they carry themselves. People pick up on this. In a world full of impulsive, loud, and reactive energy, a man who's thoughtful and steady is magnetic. It creates respect. It invites trust. And it leaves a mark. This depth also makes them better at reading other people. Because they spend so much time watching their own thoughts, they get better at noticing patterns in others. They listen well. They watch closely. And that makes people feel seen. When you talk to a Sigma male, it's not just small talk. He's present. He's paying attention. He's not waiting to speak. He's listening to understand. That presence, paired with deep insight, makes people feel valued. And it's not just in conversation. Even in silence, Sigma males hold space. They don't need to fill every moment with noise. They're comfortable with stillness, and that comfort puts others at ease. Over time, this inner depth becomes one of their strongest forms of charisma. It's not about being smart. It's about being real. And in a world full of masks, being real is rare. So if you find yourself always thinking, reflecting, and going deep, that's not overthinking. That's part of what makes your presence stand out. That's the quiet charisma of a man who actually knows who he is. Sign number 3. Selective social interactions. Sigma males aren't social butterflies. They don't go out of their way to meet everyone, and they definitely don't keep people around just to avoid being alone. Their social energy is limited, and they protect it. But what makes this a form of charisma is how much their presence matters when they do show up. They don't talk to be polite. They talk when there's something real to say. They don't engage in surface-level friendships. They invest in relationships that mean something. This makes every interaction with them feel different, more real, more grounded, more valuable. When a Sigma male enters a room, he doesn't float around looking for attention. He finds a corner, observes the energy, and speaks only when it counts. That quiet selectiveness stands out. People notice that he's not trying to be liked, and that, oddly enough, makes them want his attention more. Because he doesn't open up to just anyone, when he does, people feel it. They feel seen, respected, and chosen, and that's powerful. In a world full of oversharing and fake bonding, his selectiveness makes people crave the connection even more. Even in larger settings, Sigma males usually talk to only a few people. But those conversations go deeper than most. They ask real questions. They listen fully. They're not there to be popular. They're there to be real. This habit gives them a kind of mystery. People can't figure them out easily. They wonder, why is he quiet? What's going on in his head? And that curiosity turns into attraction. People want to break through the quiet, not because the Sigma is cold, but because his energy feels calm and steady. The Sigma male's ability to be alone also adds to his presence. He doesn't fear being by himself. In fact, he enjoys it. And that confidence in solitude shows strength. People who are always surrounded by others may seem friendly, but the person who can stand alone and still look sure of himself. That's charisma. This selectiveness also means he doesn't tolerate fake energy. He can spot a shallow conversation fast. He sees through people-pleasing. He stays away from gossip. And that quiet boundary protects his peace, while making others take him more seriously. Over time, people realize that if a Sigma male keeps them around, it means something. He won't fake it. He won't drag out a dead friendship. If he's still talking to you, it's real. That kind of loyalty is rare, and it gives weight to everything he says. His friendships are fewer, but deeper. His conversations are slower, but more meaningful. His social life may seem quiet, but it leaves a bigger impact than most. That's the power of selective interaction. It's not about being antisocial. It's about being intentional. And that intentionality is what gives the Sigma male's presence so much weight. Sign number 4, adaptability. Sigma males are flexible, not because they're easy to influence, but because they know how to adjust without losing themselves. This ability to adapt, without bending their core values, is one of the strongest and most overlooked parts of their charisma. They don't need to control every situation. They're not rigid or stuck in one way of doing things. They stay open, they observe, learn, and adjust. That makes them able to move through different social settings with ease, even if they're not trying to be the center of attention. They can talk with the CEO and the janitor in the same room without changing who they are. They can blend in without pretending. They stay grounded no matter where they are. This makes people comfortable. When someone can move through different spaces calmly and respectfully, they earn trust. Others feel relaxed around them, even if they don't know why. That's the Sigma male advantage. He doesn't walk into a room trying to fit in, but somehow he fits. He listens more than he speaks. He feels the energy before he acts, and that emotional awareness lets him move through life like water, calm, flowing, but impossible to pin down. Adaptability also shows up when things go wrong. While others panic, he pauses. While others resist change, he responds. He doesn't waste time complaining. He finds solutions, often quietly, often quickly, and that kind of steady energy builds respect. Even in one-on-one relationships, this adaptability helps. If his partner is stressed, he knows when to speak and when to stay silent. If a friend is struggling, he can adjust his tone, his presence, his energy, without changing who he is. He also adapts to growth. As life changes, as goals shift, he lets go of what no longer works. He's not attached to outdated plans. He moves forward. He learns from mistakes, and that learning becomes confidence, the kind you can't fake. This adaptability makes him unpredictable in the best way. You never know what new version of himself you'll see next, but it's always real, always thought through, always tied to something deeper than just reacting to the world. That calm flexibility, paired with inner control, makes the Sigma male stand out in rooms full of people trying too hard to stay the same. He doesn't just survive change. He becomes better because of it. And people feel that. Sign number 5, non-conformity. Sigma males don't follow trends. They don't care what's popular. They don't bend their values just to fit in. And that non-conformity, when it comes from a place of awareness, becomes one of their most magnetic traits. They don't dress to impress. They dress how they like. They don't speak in a way that pleases everyone. They speak with honesty. And they don't move with the crowd. They move with purpose. That kind of clarity stands out. People may not agree with everything a Sigma male does, but they respect the fact that he stands on his own. He's not trying to shock people. He's just not afraid to be different. This independence makes people look twice. In a world where most people follow trends, the one who walks his own path gets noticed, even if he says nothing. His values are his own. They weren't handed down. They weren't copied. He thought them through, tested them, and chose them. And that kind of depth is rare. People often sense that he's different before they know why. They feel it in his choices, in the way he says no without flinching, in the way he stands firm when others fold. This non-conformity isn't rebellion. It's discipline. It's self-respect. And that quiet refusal to follow the crowd is part of what makes the Sigma male so compelling. Sign number 6, emotional intelligence. Sigma males don't just think, they feel, but they don't let emotion run their life. They understand it, they manage it, and they use it to stay balanced, focused, and connected. This emotional intelligence isn't loud or obvious, but it's powerful, and it plays a big part in their quiet charisma. They know what they're feeling, even if they don't show it. If they're stressed, they pause. If they're angry, they step back instead of lashing out. If they're excited, they stay grounded. They're not cold, they're controlled. And that calm control gives others a sense of safety. Emotional intelligence also helps them connect without trying hard. They listen. They pay attention. They pick up on tone, body language, silence. And they respond in a way that feels honest, not scripted. They don't say what people want to hear. They say what feels true, but they say it with awareness. That balance between truth and timing is rare, and people respect it. In conflict, this skill stands out even more. Sigma males don't blow up. They don't need to win. They stay centered. They ask good questions. They look for understanding. And if things don't go their way, they move on without drama. Even in dating or friendships, emotional intelligence is a game changer. They don't try to impress. They try to connect on a real level. And when they listen, they actually listen. No faking. No waiting for their turn to talk. Just presence. This presence is felt. It makes people lower their guard. It builds trust. It invites truth. And that's why others feel safe around Sigma males, even if they don't say much. Sigma males also know their emotional limit. When they're overwhelmed, they take space. When they're off-center, they reflect. They don't dump their feelings on others. They handle it inside, sort through it, then come back balanced. That kind of self-management gives them strength. They don't depend on others to fix their moods. They don't need constant emotional support. But when others do need support, they're solid. They show up. Not with big words, but with steady presence. That's what makes their emotional intelligence part of their charisma. They're not emotionally loud, they're emotionally aware. And in a world where people are constantly reacting, their calm, steady energy becomes magnetic. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real and knowing how to hold space for both your emotions and other people's without being pulled under. That's rare. That's strong. And people feel it. Sigma male charisma isn't about putting on a show. It's not about being loud, flashy, or the center of attention. It's about presence. A kind of steady energy that draws people in without trying. It comes from self-knowledge, from quiet confidence, from choosing depth over noise. And most of all, it comes from being real in a world full of fake. The 6 signs we've broken down, the calm confidence, the deep thinking, the selective social life, the adaptability, the non-conformity, and the emotional insight, all point to one truth. Sigma males don't force charisma. They are charisma, just in a different form. You don't need to change who you are to be magnetic. You don't need to be louder, faster, or flashier. You just need to stay aligned with your values, act with purpose, and show up with your full, quiet presence. That's what people remember. So if you've ever wondered why some people are drawn to you without you even trying, this is why. You carry something most people don't understand, but they feel it. Own it, sharpen it, and keep walking your path. Because the realest kind of charisma doesn't come from performance, it comes from peace.